Here in Ephesians 1, God is saying, He's telling us concerning whom He saves, that He has predestinated certain ones to become saved before the foundation of the world, it says in verse 4. And why did He choose certain ones and not others? There's only one reason the Bible gives: according to His good pleasure. He desired a people for Himself. He had to choose someone, but He couldn't base it on good versus evil. Why not? Because all are evil. He couldn't base it on one individual being better than another individual, because no one is better than anyone else. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So He can't base it on that. He has basically a whole mass of rebels, all deserving to die, all deserving to be destroyed, and He needs to make a choice and a determination because He desires this people. He wants to demonstrate and illustrate His wonderful attributes through saving certain ones and forming a people who will be His people forevermore. And so He decides, all right, I'm going to save this one, Abel, and I'm not going to save Cain. And then later on, He decides, I'm going to save Noah. Noah is saved by grace, and I'll save some of Noah's family, but I'm not going to save the rest of the world of that time. They're going to perish in a flood. And then He decides, I'm going to save Jacob, but I'm not going to save Esau, his twin brother. For instance, in Romans 9, God uses Jacob and Esau as basically a case example of the sovereign choice that God made in choosing to save the one and not the other. In Romans 9, beginning in verse 10, it says, and not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac, for the children, being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to election might stand. Now notice, the children did not do any good or evil because they were not yet born to commit it. And so God is saying, my choice is not based on good works, and it's not even based on evil works, because all commit evil when they enter into the human race. But I am going to decide in order to, as it says here, according to election might stand, not of works, but of Him that calleth. And so God did decide, and He made the decision, well, I'll pick Jacob. It's a sovereign decree, a sovereign decision. I'll choose to save Jacob. And Jacob was not all that good a character, was he? Sometimes when you read the account, Esau appears to come across as a much better man than Jacob. And yet God wasn't looking at the things they do. He wasn't looking at their sins or their opportunities of the times they did keep His word to some degree. He just determined, Jacob, you're my elect. I will save you. I will love you. And He did not make that decision concerning Esau. Therefore, He hated him, meaning He did not elect him to salvation. Esau was still in his sins and would be destroyed as a result finally. And, oh, by the way, one other point. When Jacob and Esau were in their mother Rebekah's womb, they were struggling. Remember it says in Genesis? They were fighting, and Rebekah wondered, why is it so? Why is this the case? And she went to God. And God told her, 2 nations are in your womb, and the elder will serve the younger. Basically, God was telling Rebekah that Jacob the younger would be saved, and Esau the elder would not be saved. Jacob would get the blessing. That's why later on Rebekah was so instrumental and so determined that Jacob be the one to receive their father's blessing and not Esau. And remember how she arranged things and putting the hair on his arm and so forth. Well, didn't God tell the mother that one of her children would not be saved? And didn't Rebekah then have to live with that knowledge that I have a child who is not yet born? Who is not yet born, but when he is born, he'll not be saved. Now, of course, that kind of blow was softened by the fact that the other child was saved and was elect. And so that would certainly comfort her. But nonetheless, she was a mother who had knowledge beforehand that if she gave birth to these twin sons, one of them would not be saved. And that fits in with what God is doing today, since he has let it be known he has shut the door of heaven. And it is a very sorrowful and tragic thing if a mother has a child and she's giving birth to a baby after the door has been shut. Now, God graciously grants all of his people the ability to go to him so they can still pour out their hearts for the child. And you can be sure that a mother or father who has a child in that kind of situation would be praying probably more fervently for the baby than maybe in other circumstances. And the mother or father can still pray, "Oh Lord, may your cup pass from off this child. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done." So the parent, the mother, the father leaves the salvation of the child in God's hands and in his perfect will, where it's always been left.